Hey, everybody, I'm David F. Walker, and I want to welcome you to the Secret Morgue 666, the Satanic Panic. It's a secret morgue. You don't know what you're about to watch. I know what you're about to watch. And man, woman, non-binary people, you are in for, I think it's a treat. I mean, I love this movie. So I'm just happy to introduce you all to an amazing film from 1977, Rudy Ray Moore in Petey Wheatstraw, The Devil's Son-in-Law. Um, Oh man, this is something special. If you have not seen this movie, you are, like I said, I think you're in for a treat. Either way, you're in for a surprise. You're in for something unlike anything you've ever seen before. This is Rudy Ray Moore, for those of you that don't know, was the star of Dolomite and the Human Tornado, or excuse me, the Human Tornado. And those were two cult classic blaxploitation movies from the mid to late 1970s. Rudy Ray Moore was an old Chitlin Circuit comedian who went on to make party records, and then he started making movies in the 70s. And Petey Wheatstraw is his third movie. And if you've never seen a Rudy Ray Moore movie, or even if you have, Petey Wheatstraw is the craziest. It is, I don't know if I can say batshit in this introduction, but it is batshit crazy. Um, and the title says it all. Petey Wheatstraw, the Devil's Son-in-Law. And yeah, I just in order to do this intro, I rewatched this movie for the first time in a long time. And even still, after all these years, I was shocked and surprised by some of the things that I saw, as you will be. And this is not for the faint-hearted. Is that the right term? It's got a little bit of everything to offend everybody, and a lot of things to make everybody laugh. And if you don't laugh, there's something wrong with you. So I hope you enjoyed Petey Wheatstraw, The Devil's Son-in-Law. This was directed by Cliff Rockmore, who directed Rudy's earlier film, The Human Tornado, and he wrote this one. And so this is sort of like the most Shakespearean of all of Rudy Ray Moore's movies. And I'm not saying that to be sarcastic or negative. It does have a Shakespearean feel to it. And if you've never seen a Rudy Ray Moore movie, this is again, this is unlike the other. He only made four movies total. The last one was Disco Godfather. First two were Dolomite and Human Tornado. This one is unlike all the others. And it's got a great soundtrack. It's got performances by Leroy and Skillet and Wildman Steve. All three of them were Chitlin Circuit comedians along with Rudy. And I don't think there's anything more I need to say. You're just going to sit quietly until you burst out in laughter or until you gasp in shock and surprise at what you're going to see. And then afterwards, you can have some semblance of a conversation about it. And just remember that when it comes to independent filmmaking of any kind, any genre, Rudy and his crew, his merry band of misfits, they were some of the best to do it, especially during the 70s. And the thing I like about this movie, and this is actually my favorite of Rudy's movies, is because it's even more audacious than the others. It's just, again, it's just batshit crazy. And they were sitting around and thinking this would be fun. And they had fun with it. So, just a little bit more about Rudy Ray Moore. For those of you that don't know, like I said, he came from the world of the Chitlin Circuit comedy circuit. He was making these party records, which were comedy records that he self-financed. And then with the money of those that he made from those, he turned around and produced the first Dolomite movie, then The Human Tornado, and then this one, Petey Wheatstraw. And he had this whole group of people that he worked with. Jerry Jones was sort of his right hand man. Jerry Jones did a lot of crazy stuff in the making of these movies, and then there was also Jimmy Lynch, and maybe I'm confusing. No, it was Jimmy Lynch who was his right hand man. Excuse me, sorry. And but like, to give you an example, Rudy lived in this condemned hotel in downtown Los Angeles, the Dunbar Hotel. It's now a historical landmark, but back then it was just a condemned building that somehow he managed to move into. He took over the whole first floor, and then he turned it into his mini movie studio. So a lot of what you're about to see in this movie is are sets that were built by Jimmy Lynch at at the Hotel Dunbar. And they did all the makeup themselves, they did the costumes themselves, and it was really this family effort. When you hear about some of these low budget Poverty Row filmmakers, they always had this cast and crew that they would use over and over again, and that's what Rudy had. um Wild Man Steve, who was in maybe one of the worst movies of all time. It has a title that I can't even say out loud. One of the titles was the Super Soul Brother, but the other was the $6,000, and then it was the N word, and that was actually a movie, and it was terrible. And Leroy and Skillet were a comedy duo that were again the Chitlin circuit, which was a circuit mostly through southern venues during the 50s and 60s, and going into the 40s too, that were like part of the segregated South, and this is where black comedians and musicians played. And one other thing I'll say about this movie, because again, I just rewatched it in preparation for this, and this is all of Rudy's movies, but it really stands out, I think, in Petey Wheatstraw. Rudy was, in terms of the lead actors from the blaxploitation era, you got guys like Fred Williamson, Jim Brown, Jim Kelly, Richard Roundtree. Rudy was a little bit older than all of those guys. And so when he finally became a leading man with Dolomite, he was close to 10 years older than everybody else. And so he kind of grew up in a generation that was a little bit different than what everyone else grew up in. And his films are really heavily informed by the race films of the 1930s and 40s. And like there's this blaxploitation element, but they are actually race movies. And for those of you that don't know what race movies were, they were movies that were produced exclusively for black audiences, both in northern cities, but in segregated theaters in the South. Um, and they had a lot of them had very similar plots, which always revolved around some sort of performance, like a show. And there would be a comedy act, there'd be a dance act, there'd be musical numbers. And Rudy just took that. And this isn't me making this up, by the way, because I'd known Rudy for years. Last time I saw him was about 6 months before he passed. We were having dinner at a film festival in Seattle, and I talked to him about this. I said, your movies really play like race movies, and I'm just curious how you were influenced by him. And he told me that, I was one of the few people that really picked up on it, and that these were the movies that he watched when he was a kid, and they had a big influence on him. So he was sort of this weird, sort of nostalgic wannabe filmmaker, and then he was also like the king of vulgarity, right? So they come together in this crazy mishmash. And I would say that if you've never seen one of Rudy's movies before, after you finish watching Petey Wheatstraw, The Devil's Son-in-Law, go back and watch the others, or at least watch The Human Tornado, because that's like the Citizen Kane of his movies. Although I do love Petey Wheatstraw the best. I can't tell you why, because I don't want to spoil anything, but we'll just say that this has got everything. And because this is the secret morgue, 666, Satanic Panic, there you go. That's the all the spoilers you're gonna get. But I guarantee you've never seen anything quite as satanic or panic inducing as Petey Wheatstraw, the Devil's Son-in-Law.